Everything comes down to asking the right questions. With each of my students, I start with, what do you love? And we go from there. That really is where the magic happens. Do you know what it feels like to be fully seen, heard, understood, and supported? And what magic that creates in a teenager who wants to reach higher than they ever have before? You've come to the right place. I'm Audrey, founder of Write-In Consulting, college admissions counselor, master motivator, and champion of teenagers and young adults. If you're watching this video, I'm going to guess that you're thinking about applying to college and maybe even hiring a college admissions counselor to help you do it. Listen, choosing and committing to an undergraduate education is a hugely impactful life decision, personally, academically, financially. Guidance counselors and teachers at even the best high schools are stretched way too thin to be available for the insightful coaching and detailed feedback that's going to make for an excellent set of applications, the kind that you really want to have done and turned in. Often your friends will not have the right information. They'll be stressing out, they'll stress you out. And if you're a teenager, you might be familiar with the fact that sometimes you get in your own way by not really being disciplined in executing thorough research and writing the multiple drafts you need to write over a period of several months, which these are absolute requirements to getting the results that you really want, including admissions officers and merit scholarships. The truth is, you don't have time to waste, either now or during that potentially directionless first year of college, the thing that nobody takes the time to think about. You need guidance and you need a game plan. At Write-In Consulting, we provide the perspective, project management, and personal support that really makes the difference. Today, let's go over the three main elements that you'll receive when you do college prep and college admissions coaching with Write-In Consulting. Let's cast a spell together, and I promise you, if we do this right, this will be a very, very powerful spell. The first element is personal growth. This is always the thing that everybody leads towards the end. Like, okay, here's all of these illustrious great results that you got, but oh, by the way, who really cares but personal growth? I center that in this whole process. I think it's everything, and I know that when every single day, when I go meet with my students who are mostly teenage girls, just how appreciative they are of this element of the work. So here are 6 things that I believe that every single one of my students walks away with, whether they start with me in their sophomore year, their junior year, or they're just rushing through senior year. Let's try to get it done. In no particular order, the first one on my list is greater self-awareness. Self-awareness is what allows you to make meaningful choices. It's the awareness of all of the parts that make up the person that is you and how to choose to work those parts. It's really crucial. When you're going into the whole endeavor of applying to college, you can't possibly do it at the top of your ability if you don't even know who's doing it. The next thing on my list is emotional maturity. I think that's a natural outcropping of having the kinds of really deep and investigative conversations that we have in our meetings together. And by the way, I don't believe in emotional maturity at the expense of childlike glee, which I know I intend to have forever about cute stuffed animals and whatever TV show or film I'm currently obsessed with, etc. The next thing on the list is perspective shifts. This is something that is much more difficult to have happen when you're just kind of being fed the same party line. That's the cultural standard of whatever area you live in, your high school, your friend group, like all of that kind of stuff. And I would say it's not so much that I'm coming in and infecting you with some super out of left field ideology or thoughts. I would say it's that I'm asking questions of you that you might not have yet been asked, with the absolute freedom for you to discover what's true for you and what you believe. It's pretty awesome. It's a pretty exciting feeling. And I love nothing more than seeing one of you staring back at me with your mouth open, shocked and thrilled at the discovery that you just made. The next thing on my list is personal power. I said earlier that I work with a lot of teenage girls, both cis and trans, and I think that one of the most important parts of what I do is to help cultivate a greater sense of personal power. Really what we're talking about is agency. So the ability to take action when you know that there's something you want, something that you need to do, something that you choose. And while teenage girls are in a more marginalized group, I would say that these lessons around gaining agency, personal power, also absolutely apply to my male students. I want us all to feel that we carry great value within us and that the world is lucky to have our contributions. Next on my list is collective consciousness. We talk a lot about what's happening in the world, the place that you would like to have in it, your thoughts, your analysis, your understanding. It's become really fashionable lately for everyone to say that they uniquely are empathetic or understand empathy. This has been going on for the last few years. And I would say that to truly develop empathy is to be able to actually look at what other people's experience are beyond just who's in front of you. And by the way, my students do tend to be really empathetic, so I am not saying that they're wrong. Finally, we have a much deeper appreciation. And I think this is across the board. I think all of my students graduate from this process with a much deeper appreciation of who they are, of what they're capable of, and of what and who is in the world. Honestly, do we need to do the next 2 slides? This is so many things. Let's keep going. Next up, we have greater strengths. This is the obvious stuff that we're all here for, right? I'll probably go through this more quickly. We've got writing skills. That's the heart of everything that I do, is take people who are weak writers, mid writers, even really strong writers, and make them all about 10,000 times better at their capacity to choose and utilize language to express what they really think and feel, who they really are. And then we have research skills, super important. You cannot rely on AI to analyze everything that's out there and come up with the one right answer, especially not for you. And especially when it comes to figuring out what your perfect match colleges would be. Next up, we've got reading capacity and interest. And what I mean by that is the volume that you can consume as a reader and your fascination with and excitement for doing so. A lot of my students come to me, either they used to be readers back in middle school and then they just got kind of burnt out because they were too busy having to read books for classes solely for the purpose of writing papers, or they just lost the thread on the kind of books that they really like. So we can fix this, we can tackle this, we can make a change. Then there's time management, and I promise I will not say to you, Beyonce also has 24 hours. What are you doing? I will meet you exactly where you are in your process of handling this very strange phenomenon of being this animal that has to go along with what the clock says. I truly would say that if you got nothing out of our work together, which I don't think is possible, but hypothetically, but you did understand how to have a better relationship with parceling out your time and the way that you spend it, huge victory, huge win, so worth it. Similarly, the capacity to make decisions. These two things are absolutely related. How to figure out what's most important, how to figure out what you can realistically do more quickly. Everyone is aware of the fact that you only live once, YOLO, and that you have a fear of missing out, FOMO. So, how do you handle it? These are some of the things we get into. Your ability to focus will also improve. There isn't a single thing that we do that directly makes this happen. I think it's a combination of things. And I also think that's linked to the final thing on this list, which is improved motivation. You'll finally understand what you want, what you think, what you feel, and you'll have the capacity to act and have a better relationship of how to do that in the time that you have. Of course, you're going to feel more motivated. Combine personal growth and greater strengths, and what do you get? Knowledge and vision. You have a phenomenal new awareness of the options that lie ahead of you and the capacity to make choices around those options. You've developed intellectually in a really significant way, whether that's through those summer programs, the research, all the conversations that we've had about your thought process about various ideas, maybe even an independent project we've worked on together. You have new synaptic connections. There are literally tiny little metaphoric hands in your brain, but that are literal biological structures reaching out and connecting to each other. Your brain is an interdisciplinary major. You've got a future dream that's forming in your mind. Maybe pieces of it come from ideas you had when you were younger, but now you're much, much clearer on what that might be because you've mapped possible directions, especially when we're looking into majors and potential career paths. I'll have you consider backup plans because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I think on an emotional level, that's incredibly reassuring to know that you don't only have to make just the one thing work, because there are a lot of things that could be really, really great. And I want to end on this note, which is about deciding who to become, understanding who you are, and then deciding who you want to become. I want to ask you a question. Is there anything more important than that?